Hi, everyone. My name is Ty, and welcome to my first podcast. My first guest has an incredible journey that I'm so excited to share with you. Hailing from the Midwest, he was born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio, as the second oldest of 4 children. He excelled in all sports: baseball, basketball, football, and he also did some amateur boxing. Football was his true passion, though. He earned a sports scholarship at a Division II university in Ohio, and later in 1995, he was inducted into the Youngstown State University Hall of Fame. His career in the NFL began with a tryout with the Dallas Cowboys before he landed a spot on the Washington Redskins football team in 1981, where he played for 3 years. After leaving Washington, he played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers until a devastating knee injury ended his career. He is a Super Bowl champion, a husband, a father, a former youth basketball coach, and one of my favorite people in the whole world. Introducing my father, Quentin Laurie.
Wow, what a great introduction.
That was quite the introduction,
yes,
wasn't it?
yes. And I want to say, this is such an honor. I would have never thought something like us, you're interviewing me and just being here wasn't possible, but it is, and it's just really an honor. Now, what do you want to ask your old dad that you haven't asked before?
You know, I'm really excited about this because there's so much about your football career that I don't know. I wasn't born yet. So I feel like I'm going to learn a lot about you throughout this. Let's jump in with growing up. Let's start from the very beginning. Okay. So I know that you grew up in Shaker Heights, Cleveland, Ohio. And the second oldest of 4.
That's right.
When you were growing up with your siblings, was sports a common theme in the household? Were you the only one who played sports, or what did that kind of look like?
No, sports was a common theme just in the neighborhood in general.
Okay.
We played basketball, football, just very sports-minded community. And my oldest brother, Martin, he played basketball mostly, and I would go to the courts and play basketball with him and his friends. They were older. He's 4 years older than I was.
So about how old were you when you were playing basketball with them?
Well, basketball with him, I was definitely a teenager back then. But I'm going to take you all the way back when I first really had a love for football.
Okay. How did that start? Was that the first sport that you got introduced to and you played?
That was the very first sport. Now, I was 5 years old. Okay. And at 5 years old, I was too young to play in the streets because the older kids would play in the streets, football, touch football. Your Uncle Martin, he played that as well. And so we watched, me and my friends, and would say, hey, someday we want to play some football too. So we found a field, and we started a little league of our own.
Did it have a name?
No name.
It's just the name.
Actually, we were the Watersons. We called ourselves the Watersons because the street was named Waterson.
Makes sense.
So we were the Watersons. And ranging from 5 to 7 to 8 years old, it was just a group of us, and we found a field, and we began to play football there. So we played tackle football.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We played tackle football. Well, we couldn't throw the ball too far at that age. So we played tackle football, and it was just really, enjoyable. We loved that. Played it almost every day that we could.
Did you have, a coach, or was it organized?
No, it was just amongst ourselves.
Just going out there and
everybody
running
played.
into each other, tackling, throwing the ball.
Exactly. That's exactly what it was. And we had fun.
Okay.
We had fun, and it was great. It was great. That was my first introduction to playing sports and just playing football amongst ourselves. Yeah.
When did you start playing organized sports? Did you join any a Boys and Girls Club or community or with school? When did you start playing, in an organized on a team?
Now, that didn't happen until we moved to Shaker Heights.
Okay.
And we moved to Shaker Heights. I was 11 years old at the time, in the 6th grade, so it was my last year in elementary school. So then once I went into junior high, that's when the sports began, organized sports.
Okay, so childhood up until the age of 11, you hadn't joined any formal teams yet. So you're totally self-coached, self-taught.
Exactly.
And then you said when you're about 11 is when you finally joined a team.
Yes. I was introduced to organized sports, football, baseball. Actually, up until that point, I hadn't picked up a baseball, to be honest with you. So the main two sports that we played in Cleveland, it was basketball and football. Okay. That's what we played. And we just played that all the time, and we had fun. I mean, it was a neighborhood that, we would have games, play hide and seek. Mm-hmm. Hide and seek. Now, in most neighborhoods, it's hide and seek, and it starts to get dark, then you go home.
Yeah.
Our neighborhood, when it gets dark, that's when we start to play.
That's when the game starts.
Right. That's when
that's when it gets good.
Right. Exactly. And then when someone's parent would yell, "Hey, time to come home," or "Where are you?" then we all would leave and go back.
Yeah.
We all would leave and say, "All right, game's over." But really had a lot of fun. I can't say it was the best of neighborhoods. Okay, because it wasn't. It wasn't the best of neighborhoods, but my parents, we had family business, and didn't really see much of them because they worked 6 days a week, and it was all day long and into the evening. But we always had what was provided.
Yes.
And that was the thing. So you're not, as a kid, your perspective is, I have what I want.
Yeah.
We're living just fine.
Yeah.
Refrigerators full of food. Mm-hmm. So you don't really know, you're not that well off, but we were well off enough where we felt like we had everything that we needed. And my parents, your grandparents, they worked very hard. They worked very hard to provide.
Still do. Grandma M still has her wig
still
shop.
going strong. Still going strong.
Laurie Wigs is still in operation.
6 days a week. Exactly.
And how long has it? How many years? Has she had the wig shop?
Oh my goodness. Well, there's been.
I'm in my 30s, so over 34 years.
30, 40, 50 years.
50
but
years?
There was, location change.
Yeah.
And the place that she is now, it's been a good 40 probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, not only does she own that particular shop, but she does own the building, and there's other barbershops, and there's other stores that's within the building. Yeah. So she's going strong at 88. Yeah. I'm telling you.
Well, let's get back to
football. Oh, wait a minute. I wasn't supposed to say that.
Oh, no.
I'm in trouble. She can't see this.
I know. I don't think she watches YouTube or listens to podcasts, so I think we'll be safe.
Okay.
Well, let's get back to the sports. Did you play football with any of your siblings? You have two brothers, one older and one younger. Mm-hmm. How did or what impact did football or maybe even basketball, just sports in general, have on your relationship with them growing up?
Well, we had an age difference. Okay, so we had a different set of friends. Not that far apart, but 3 and 4 years. And so we never played or went to the same school at the same time. It was always someone graduating and then someone coming. So when I graduate, then Uncle Lando, he would come. Yeah. That was junior high, that was high school. So he was always following me, and I was always following Uncle Martin. So that was the difference. So I actually never got a chance to play with either one of them other than
in the neighborhood.
The street.
In the street.
Those type of things.
And so would you play football with both of them? Because, spoiler, but Uncle Orlando also did play in the NFL. So did you play football with Uncle Orlando and Uncle Martin? Or was football something that you and Uncle Orlando, was that kind of your thing? Yeah,
it was more of our thing. Uncle Martin, he loved basketball. Actually, he played college basketball as well. Yeah, he played college basketball.
Do you remember which school?
It was a school in Michigan. Yeah, it might have been Wayne State or Saginaw, one of those schools where he did play basketball. Yeah. So, and that was his thing.
Mm-hmm. So I can't believe I missed this, but what position did you play growing up? I mean, when you were playing in the field, I don't think you were just tackling and playing, but when you started playing organized sports, what was your position in football?
Well, I had two positions. On offense, I played offensive tackle.
Okay.
Well, and so I did the blocking, making
I was about
holes
to say,
for
you
the
have to
running
explain
back.
it for me a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah.
The best on the football terminology. So you said offensive tackle.
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 And
Okay.
actually, I wanted to be a running back.
Okay.
I wanted to be a running back. I was pretty good with the ball, starting from 5 years old, carrying the football, running, and doing all those things. So I thought I was pretty good, just like any of the other kids that wanted to be a running back. But I was one of the biggest ones.
Oh.
So the coach looked at me and said, "No, you're going to be on the offensive line, and we're going to let them run through the holes you make."
Yeah.
So I was a little disappointed with that because I'm looking at them like I can run just as well as these guys can. I'm just bigger.
Yeah. I didn't know that you were big for your size growing up. You were a bigger kid?
Yes.
Oh.
I grew
Didn't know
very fast, and I was always the tallest and one of the biggest. So they put me at the tackle position. Now on defense, I love to hit people, so. But I didn't want to be in the middle with all the other guys.
Yeah.
On the defensive line. They were in my way. So I played linebacker.
Okay.
Linebacker and the outside linebacker. So I got an opportunity to kind of crash and tackle and hit and do all those things, but also at the same time cover people. Cover running backs as they're going out, cover tight ends. So it was a position that I really liked doing. Because I got both are two worlds.
Mm-hmm. And these are positions that you kept throughout high school?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
When did you decide that you wanted to play football as a career? Was that always something growing up that you had in your mind as the goal, or how did that kind of come about for you?
Well, actually, I started thinking about that when I was in high school. It was my junior year.
Okay.
My junior year in high school. I thought about it, and then definitely it became a goal in my senior year. And the reason why it became a goal, because I think we all use benchmarks, and we can tell about our accomplishments, what other people think about us. So I received several awards while I was in high school.
Oh.
I had an honorable mention for one of the best players in the state, and Ohio is a very, very good state in terms of sports and especially football. So I had that type of recognition, went to the different banquets and met people and coaches and other players.
And this was all in high school?
Yes,
Wow.
yeah, this is all in high school. And so you begin to realize where you are just in terms of the benchmarks, and then the awards coming in. The league that we played in was the Lake Erie League, and I was voted the most valuable player of that league. And so those type of things, you start to think about, well, maybe there might be a career. I'm going to the next level. I was receiving letters in the mail, scholarship offers, all of those type of things. Every week, something different would come in. So it was a matter of choosing what college I may want to go to.
Yeah.
So
having all those options, and I definitely relate to that. Getting an award and being, nominated and crowned as the MVP, you start feeling like the MVP.
Yeah,
like,
you
okay,
do.
Yeah, I can make it all the way. I'm big time now.
Right. So now I can. There has been other guys in the same situation. So I'm thinking, well, maybe that could be me too.
Yeah.
As well.
Did you have any heroes or inspirational figures growing up, either inside or outside of the league, that also might have motivated you and giving you the confidence? Someone that you modeled yourself after in chasing the NFL?
Surprisingly, it wasn't through football. It was my older brother, Martin.
Uncle Martin.
That's right, because he always took me to the basketball courts. And I'm playing with guys much older than myself.
Because Uncle Martin, 4 years older than you, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're with the big kids.
Yeah, I'm with the bigger kids, and there's some kids that's even older than he was.
Yeah.
So I'm playing with the older crowd. And so I'm learning through him. I'm learning just in general how other kids carry themselves. So he was really my role model, because there was no fear. There was no fear of me. I'm used to playing with older kids and having that confidence, and and doing well, and he was always my backup. So
Yeah.
if they got too rough, he'd give him a little look like, hey, that's my little brother.
Yeah, not too much.
Take it easy.
A little Quentin, not too much.
Right. Take it easy. But I would have to say, sports-wise, a particular person, it would be him.
Would you also consider Uncle Martin like one of your biggest supporters during that time? Like just growing up and pursuing sports, you know, he was your role model. Was he also providing support to you? Like encouragement?
Of course. It wasn't just basketball. It was boxing. The kids that I boxed with, they were his friends.
Oh, okay. And when you say boxing, are we talking like organized boxing, or are we in the field again and y'all are just...
We're in the field again.
Okay. Were there gloves involved?
Who could afford gloves? No, this was fists. Okay.
All right, knuckling up.
Yeah, that's right. And that's what he would say. Let's
Street
knuckle
boxing.
up.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm over here. And he called one of his friends, come on over.
Yeah.
And then y'all going to go ahead and box. Just like that. And we would throw punches and, you know, everything was allowed except for no hitting in the face.
Okay,
no
fair.
hitting in the face,
Fair.
but everything else was, it was live.
Yeah.
So, again, it's him. It's him. He was my inspiration, not so much about what we talked about, but he was the inspiration in terms of just giving me opportunities and saying, okay, well, you're going to do this now. Mm-hmm. Let's try you out at that. And I think that had a lot to do with my development and just my mental attitude in terms of how I view things.
Mm-hmm. So now transitioning into choosing a college, how did you even, you said you had multiple scholarship offers, how did you pick Youngstown State University?
Well, I wanted something fairly close to home, but far enough away. Youngstown State hadn't really been on my map, but they had a very good year. They only lost one game the year before.
So the team was really good.
Yeah, the team was up and coming. And plus, they had a quarterback that was drafted.
To the league?
Yeah, he was drafted to the league, went to actually Pittsburgh. So he went to the Steelers. And I thought that was very impressive. And so they had a new coach, and I wanted to be part of that. I wanted to be part of something that was up and coming and growing, not something that was established.
I like that. What was it like joining the team? Like, just tell me a little bit about your experience playing in college with this up and coming team. They're starting to do well. How did the seasons turn out?
Well, that's a transition in itself.
Yeah.
Going from, and we're talking about back in the day. I don't know what's going on in terms of the transition from high school to college today, because high school has really upgraded itself and it mimics more of college programs. Mm-hmm. But back then it did not. So there was a clear gap between high school and college. So, and I thought I was in shape. Boy, did I get into shape. So we would work out in the training room, and there would be this big trash can right in the middle of the workout room. Mm-hmm. So we're working out, and I'm asking, why is there a trash can right in the middle of the room? What's the purpose? And, you know, one of the veteran guys had been there. He said, oh, that's for the folks that throw up. I said, throw up? And as soon as I said that, someone came running, freshman, of course, and just, you know, all into the can. I said, oh, that's what it's for. Well, I hope I don't start feeling sick. But it just being into an organized program like that and just getting you prepared was, that was the biggest transition, and being prepared. And so that was something that was very much needed, and I was ready for it.
You're ready for it?
Oh, yeah, I was ready for it.
Did you ever have any feeling that maybe you weren't talented enough, or maybe you weren't fast enough or good enough as some of your other players? And did you ever have any feelings of self-doubt when you started playing at the collegiate level?
No, that never occurred to me at all in my life. I noticed very early, even as 5 years old and we're playing football, there was no one that could catch me.
Okay.
And I could catch them.
Yeah.
They couldn't, I could avoid them. And then as in school, when we went to school, in the elementary, I also noticed I'm the fastest person. Mm-hmm. And so I could do things a little better than the other kids. So I knew right away, I said, this is something a little different when it comes to athletics that I'm a little better at.
So you always had that confidence. You always knew you're the fastest, you're one of the best, no one could catch you.
Yes, I never experienced anything other than that because that was my experience.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't know how good I was. You don't find that out until, again, the benchmarks. The benchmarks tell you the awards, the banquets, the people, the scouts, the coaches. Those are the folks that validate, okay, well, this is what you could do. Mm-hmm. And it's always with the idea of pushing you further. You can push further. This is where I want you to go, as opposed to someone that may not be on that same level.
And while you were in college, you mentioned like validating moments, like receiving some sort of recognition or award, or can you kind of walk me through or tell me about one of those moments that was a validating moment? Maybe even something like a certain game that you played or a play that you did, you know, something that stands out and that was your validating moment. Like, yes, I'm good. I belong on this team. I'm great. This is for me. This is what I meant to do.
Okay. Well, we were playing the team. Now, remember, Youngstown State at the time was Division II.
Okay.
We were Division II, so we were not a main school like Ohio State and all the other well-known schools, but we had a school on our schedule, and at the time, it was, we played Villanova.
Okay.
And Villanova is in the Big East.
Yep.
And so we played them, and of course, we were underdog by, who knows, so many touchdowns. And I just couldn't believe that this team was that much better than we were. We were pretty good our own self. And so it was a next level. And so we came out there and, you know, they punched us in the mouth, but then we began to punch back. And that was one of my moments where you just felt like, I'm on this level. I'm on this level, and I can be just as good, if not better than you. And it was the whole team. We just kind of gathered together, and we wound up winning that game, pulling it out in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And so we were all proud of ourselves. So that's a moment that I would never forget, because there's a certain feeling that comes out, of yourself that you're doing the maximum that you can do. And we had to do the maximum, too.
Yeah. Would you say that was one of your highlights from your time playing football at Youngstown State?
It was definitely one of the highlights. There's no question about that.
Did you all travel for games, too?
Yes. We did travel. Didn't travel very far, but we went to some schools in Michigan, some schools in New England. So we traveled a little bit. We didn't travel across country. We didn't do that type of travel. We didn't have that kind of budget. I wish we did. But we traveled a little bit. South, played Morehead State, Tennessee State. You know, we played different schools.
And when you were at Youngstown State, what were the positions that you played there? Was it the same from high school? Or
High school is a little bit different. I played both ways in high school, so I never left the field. Always stayed on the field, even with the special teams. But in college, you pretty much everybody had a position.
Just one position?
Just one.
Okay.
Now, there are guys that may play two positions, but it's rare. They'll dabble in it a little bit. But played the one position, and everybody had a position, and there were scholarships and all these things they wanted the best people in the best position.
Yeah.
And so you played what you played, definitely not risking injury, because the more you played, then the more opportunity you can get injured.
To get hurt.
Yeah, so they found out what you could do, and that's what you did.
And what did you do? What was your position at Youngstown State?
Youngstown State, believe it or not, it was a linebacker, but at times I was, they call it defensive end. So sometimes I was on the line with my hand down, and then sometimes I played up. So it was really the same position as far as linebacker, but it also turned me into a pass rusher.
Okay, and this is on defense, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
On defense.
Make sure that I'm following along. And so you had mentioned playing, positions and doing what you do well. You also mentioned the risk of injury. Mm-hmm. So talk to me about that. What injuries did you experience while playing in college, and did any of those injuries cause any hindrances for you?
Yes, most definitely. My first major injury in college was a high ankle sprain. And most people look at an ankle sprain as, okay, give you
rest, ice. Yeah.
Ice it up, you'll be ready next game. Well, high ankle sprain is much different. It's one of the most severe type of sprains because it's not on your ankle, it's above.
Okay.
And so that kept me out for 6 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I had played enough. I couldn't redshirt the season. So the season.
And what is red shirt?
Redshirting, that's right.
I don't know that much about football. I know,
that's
it's
right.
kind of embarrassing.
So redshirting is when a player plays a real small amount of games, maybe one game, and then you get injured.
Oh, okay.
So because of that, it's only fair to redshirt that year because the player hasn't played enough games to qualify to get credit for the season. So they give you another opportunity so you don't just lose that year.
Yes.
But I had played enough games where I didn't qualify as a redshirt, but I had lost six games just from the high ankle sprain.
Wow. So
that was my most severe injury that kept me out. But as far as just injuries alone, my shoulders.
I know you've told me you've dislocated fingers, shoulders.
Exactly. Rotary cuffs under the shoulder, both. Yeah. There's a lot of injuries that do occur. And I think I've injured just about everything from head to toe.
Yeah, everything's been hit.
Exactly.
And especially when you were younger and experiencing these injuries, did you ever have a moment where you felt like, okay, this is too much on my body, or I'm seriously going to get hurt one day, maybe I shouldn't do this, or maybe I shouldn't hit as hard? Did you ever have that kind of feeling of danger, the danger that you're kind of putting your body in by playing football?
I had one moment. It was one moment we played a game against, I believe it was Wayne State. And the type of offense, they had tackles and offensive guards pull. And I'm playing on the end position. So it's different from playing right in front of a lineman and you take a step or two. These guys had running starts to go around the line to pull. And they would hit me, and it was my job to close. So they got full speed running, pulling, and I would have to hit them with a shoulder just to stop them and close the hole. Well, this team, that's the only play they ran. Okay. It was first quarter, second quarter. It was their strategy. They just wore teams down.
Yeah.
Now, we won the game, but that night I was just in so much agony from my whole body hurting. And it was the only time I've ever really felt like that. And I questioned myself. I just said, is this really worth it? I'm in school. I'm pursuing my degree.
Yeah.
There's
other things.
Right. There's other things that I could do. Do I really want to play this and continue to play this on the next level if I get the opportunity? So I woke up the next morning, and of course I woke up the next morning saying, yes, I do.
Yes.
I must be crazy, but yes, I do.
So let's talk about that now. Let's talk about your journey to the NFL. So you weren't drafted right after college, right?
I was drafted.
Oh, right after college? Oh,
Yes.
okay. Well, I don't have my facts straight. Tell me more about that. I thought there was a little bit of a gap for some reason, but that's why we're sitting down here today.
Yes,
So.
that's right. Well, I was drafted by the Dallas Cowboys, and back then we had 12 rounds.
Yeah.
So I was the 12th round player, and the Dallas Cowboys, they were in the Super Bowl. They played against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So the team that was in the Super Bowl, they draft last. Okay, Dallas lost, so they were second to last. Pittsburgh won, they were the champions, so they had the last player picked. So I was drafted by Dallas. And
What was that feeling like? Was it surreal? Like, did you ever think, well, I guess you did. You always had so much confidence, so I feel like you did feel like, yes, this was for me, like, you know, it wasn't one of those things where you felt like, oh, I can't believe they chose me. You felt like you deserved it, right?
Exactly, and being drafted was a validation for me, you know, where someone wanted to draft me. Somebody wanted me. It felt enough that I could help them on their team, and they drafted me. So that was my thinking. In actuality, being drafted that late, it would have been better off to become a free agent. Then I would have been able to pick and choose whatever team I wanted to, and whatever team gave me the best opportunity. But I was just so happy to be drafted.
Yeah, to be chosen.
That's right. And so I don't mind. I'll go to this Super Bowl team.
Yes.
I'll go to this team that has a all-pro player at linebacker. His name was Hollywood Henderson back then. And so I'll go to that team. I'm drafted. I'm happy. Fortunately, I wasn't by myself on the team. We were pretty good that year. We didn't win the championship, but our center was drafted in the 6th round. He went to New York. And our running back was signed as a free agent. He went to Dallas also.
Okay.
And our linebacker, middle linebacker, he was also drafted as well. So we all went to Dallas, except for the guy that went to New York. So we had company there, and it was a good feeling. It was the validation, like I said before, and just looking to the future.
Were the drafts back then the same way that they do them now, where it's like that whole, like, I don't know, they're in some kind of arena or something, and everybody's cheering, and there's like an audience? Did they do it like that back then?
No, I mean, today it's really become an opportunity to connect with the fans.
Yeah.
And so it's become big, really big. And back then, you had to draft. It was on television. They would read
televised.
off. Yeah, they would read off what round you were, but there was no fanfare or
audience or anything like that.
No.
Okay. They just stuck to
the news was we're drafted. It wasn't very much on the background of the players the way they do that now.
And so, how long were you with the Dallas Cowboys?
The Dallas Cowboys, I wasn't with them very long. I started off really not in a good situation. I actually overtrained. I was so hyped up. I overtrained for Dallas that I pulled my hamstring.
Yeah, that's a painful one.
Yes.
That one takes you out.
I pulled my hamstring, so I limped into the training camp. So,
very first training camp.
Very first training camp.
So when you say you overtrained, that was on your own. That wasn't from their training camp. You just
was on my own.
You did that to yourself.
I did that to myself.
Working too hard. Working way too hard.
Superman. I'm just, running wind sprints after wind sprints and not stretching enough and all that kind of stuff. So I limped into camp and they said, okay, well, we'll fix you up. And it took them about 2 weeks with the whirlpool and the therapy and the stretching. So they got me ready in 2 weeks, but I was never 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you're playing football with injuries, you're never 100%. You're just not. I felt like I was probably at 85%, but that's enough to be able to play. So I didn't make that team. And I lasted we did 2 exhibition games, which I did play in.
Exhibition games, are those like scrimmages?
Yeah, well, they're games that do not count.
Yeah, they don't count.
So they're real games, but it doesn't count as far as regular season, and it's an opportunity for the coaches to see the newer players, a little opportunity for the veterans to, have some rust.
Yeah.
Get that rust off themselves, get themselves prepared without really getting injured, that type of thing. So I got a call, and Tom Landry called me to the office, and I kind of knew what that was going to be about.
Wait, who's Tom Landry?
He's the head coach for
he's
the
the head
Dallas
coach.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a Hall of Fame head coach.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so he called me up to the office, and he said, "Come on in, Quentin." And that was the first time he ever said my name, to be honest with you. So I was really surprised. I was thinking, well, maybe he has some good news.
Yeah, if he knows me.
He knows me, right? Exactly. He said, "Yeah, have a seat." And he said, "Well, we really didn't get a chance to really see enough of you. You come in with your injury. We didn't get a chance to see enough of you, so we're going to let you go." So in my mind, I'm thinking, well, you didn't give me enough opportunity to see enough of me.
Yeah.
I maybe would have a different outcome, but I accepted that.
You took it well.
Yeah, I accepted that. And it's just a whole new experience. I've never been fired from an employment either.
Yeah, it was the first time for
Yeah,
everything.
it was the first time. So I walked out thinking, not that, oh, shoot. I walked out thinking, so this is what it feels like to be fired from your job.
Yeah.
Not good. Not good at all. And I had an agent working for me. And the Los Angeles Rams, they called to sign up the next year. But during that year, I was waiting and waiting because players get injured all the time, but no one called me up.
Did you feel any discouragement? Were you kind of starting to feel like maybe my time is up, maybe this is the end of the road?
No, not then, not at that point. I just felt like I have next year, I have an agent behind me. He'll find me a team. Let me use this time, the off season, to prepare myself. And I ran like crazy. I lifted weights. I just prepared myself for the next opportunity.
Yeah.
And so that's what happened. They called and said, "We'd like to invite you to our camp."
So then you go to the Rams training camp.
I go to the Rams training camp.
And how was that?
Well, first of all,
I know you didn't play for them, so
right.
How did that go?
We
What
know
happened?
the outcome,
Yeah.
right? Well, first of all, I got there and I found out that they had another all-pro linebacker playing in front of the position that I wanted.
Oh.
So
what
I said, here we go again. But because of my experience with Dallas, I had some confidence. I said, hey, I'm going to give this a shot. I know he's all-pro and everybody knows him, but I'm going to give this a shot and try to make this team. I mean, he has a backup. Maybe I can make the team through the backup route. So we played, and I played almost all 4 preseason games.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I played all 4 preseason games.
But you weren't signed to them?
I didn't make the team. I was signed to them to try out.
Oh,
yeah.
You were signed with them to try out?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
And during the exhibition. And the other guy he was playing well. He could see that, hey, I got to step it up.
Yeah, competition.
So, exactly. So they decided that they're going to keep the experience.
The more experienced player.
The more experienced player. And so they let me go as well.
So that was 2 times you were let go from 2 teams in
2 years.
In 2 years.
Right.
So we got 1 setback, another setback. What kept you going from there? Because that's not where it stops.
No, fortunately.
Yeah.
Right.
What kept you going?
I said to myself, I'm going to give this one more shot. Okay. I'm looking at myself and thinking that, well, first of all, I'm getting older as far as sports and football-wise, and I'm not developing.
And about how old were you at this time, like from the Rams?
From the Rams, 24.
24, okay.
24.
And you said you're getting older?
Well, I'm getting older in the sense that I'm not developing. You see, you have to develop each year.
Okay.
And so I'm not developing where the other guys, they are developing. They are getting better. And so I'm losing out. because I'm not sharpening my skill. I'm basically training on my own, but I'm not getting any playing time in between seasons. So I knew that the third time I'm gonna give it one more shot. And most guys do not go for 3 training camps.
Yeah.
Okay. So my agent, he got me a team in Canada, Hamilton Tiger Cat.
Yeah, this is where the Canada comes in.
Right, this is where the Canada comes in. So I go to Canada not knowing all the different rules and that they have in Canada. Football is football.
Yeah.
So I get there and they tell me, well, first of all, we have to have a certain amount of Canadian players. Otherwise,
Of
the
course.
American players would take
over. And
right,
it's not,
right.
Okay.
So you can only have a certain amount, and the American players had to start.
Had to start.
Had to start. They had to be starters.
For the Canadian team?
Exactly.
What's the logic behind that?
Well, the logic is that basically you're going to have a Canadian team, and you're going to have a few starters that are American, because this is Canada's football team. Their fans want to root for their players.
Yeah.
They went to the same high schools and colleges as well, so they want to see their players play as opposed to the American players taking over.
But you said the American players started, right?
They started, and
Okay.
you're only allowed so many starters. So you could not have an American player as a backup. That's taking a spot from a Canadian player.
Oh.
Okay, so all Americans had to start. The team that I signed with, that he got me for, I found out that my position was an American player starting, and he was the MVP of the league.
Oh, the whole league.
MVP of the league for the American player. They call it the import player of the year.
Import MVP.
But yeah. So I'm looking at this and I'm saying to myself, I wasn't phased at all, because with Dallas, it was all pro. With the Rams, was all pro. And now I'm looking at MVP. And that just it just fired me up even more.
It's like these other experiences that you had been through almost prepared you
It
for
did.
that, and you weren't intimidated.
It prepared me exactly.
Yeah.
And I knew what I had to do. I said, I'm going to have to beat this guy out. And of course, everybody knew him. We're reading the paper. His name is in the paper. The whole, Canadian League knew of him. So that was my challenge. The first thing I said to myself, I have to get some sort of notoriety. I have to get these coaches to notice me.
Something that stands out, something that
And
has
then
them
they'll give
focused.
me the opportunity.
Right.
Because the last team didn't give me the opportunity, and the Dallas didn't really as well because of the injury. So we had a 12-minute run, and we were supposed to run 1.5 miles or 2 miles, something like that, within that time frame. But it was for 12 minutes. And that's everybody on the team. Linemen, the defensive players, everybody had to run.
The really big guys too.
Big guys too, the smaller guys, the running backs. These guys, they were much faster than I was. But it started off, and I led the pack.
Oh.
I led everybody on this team, the DBs, the safeties, everybody. I led the pack. And the second time around, I was still leading, but I was increasing it. So I was running out there like I was the Flash.
Yeah.
And the coaches, they couldn't, they're looking, say, who is this?
I know,
they
where'd he
start
come
talking.
from? Yeah.
So as the minutes were going on, I maintained my
Your lead, yeah.
my lead. And so after a while, I can hear the coaches like rooting me on.
Okay.
All right, go, Laurie.
Yeah.
I come around again. All right, Laurie. Now, the pack is starting to get a little closer, though. And in the end, my teammates, because I won this, well, didn't win, but I felt like it was
you
I
won.
felt like it was a
Yeah.
race. And so that really got their notoriety and the respect from my teammates, because I did something that these guys weren't accustomed to doing. A person my size as a linebacker outrunning the entire team.
What was your size back then? How big were you?
I was 220, 225.
225.
225. And some of these guys were 205, 195. I mean, they could fly.
Yeah.
And so for a linebacker to do that, that was a little unusual. And it got the attention of the coaches. And they gave me a nickname because of that.
Oh, what was the nickname?
The nickname was Newt.
Newt?
Newt.
Newt.
Yeah, they started calling me Newt.
What is that? Is that a
I
Canadian
didn't know
term?
what Newt was.
Is that a Canadian slang term? I think it's a term of endearment, right?
Yeah, it was a term of endearment, but I didn't know what it meant. So he said Newt. I'm like, okay, that's my new name.
Maybe because you were the new guy, Newt?
Man, it sounded like Newt.
I know, yeah.
It did. So I had a nickname and all of that. It was Newt, and hey, Newt. So we were practicing, and I was really fired up. I knew what I had to do and focus. I started outplaying the import guy. I started outplaying him. Right. So by the time of the first game, preseason game, I beat him out.
Oh, wow.
And I was the starter.
On the Canadian team.
Right, on the Canadian team. So there was talk about trading him and then keeping me. So we started off the game. We were in Montreal, and we played in Montreal. And unfortunately, I'm having a good game, but unfortunately, I got hurt.
You're always going to hurt.
Yeah.
You're always going to hurt.
It's part of the game. I got hurt and separated my shoulder.
Oh, in the game?
In the game. I separated
You had to be taken
my
out.
shoulder. I had to be taken out.
Did they
So,
fix it?
I mean, who can play with a separated
I
shoulder?
know. Did they, was it one of those where they try to, pop it back in and fix it on the field, or you had to go to the hospital?
No, it wasn't dislocated. It was separated.
What is that?
Yeah, that's
the
not
ligaments?
popping back in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's not popping back in. Your bones are separated instead of being together. Okay. And so they put in the import player. I said, oh, okay, get back in there. He pulls his hamstring.
Everybody's banged up.
Okay.
Everybody's banged. Who were y'all playing? They were wearing you guys out.
Well, it was a tough team. Montreal, they were hitting pretty hard too.
Montreal was wearing y'all out.
Yeah. So they called the guy from the other side, the other linebacker. They said, well, you get in there. He was the backup. He got in there and had a concussion.
All right, game over. Game over. That's enough.
So they was looking around. They said, Newt, get back in there.
With the separated shoulder?
With the separated shoulder. Well, they had no one else to play. I went through the position. So I thought about that at the time. And I said to myself, all these weird, freaky things are happening.
Yeah.
And I had never experienced injuries like that with players in the same position. To send me back out there. And I went back out there with the separated shoulder and played. And I knew, I said, well, this shoulder's separated. I'm in pain just talking and breathing. I got to figure out some kind of way because this is my last opportunity. And if anything, I'm not going to go down like that. I'm going to go down and finish this game. Okay? And so that's what I wanted to do. And so I figured out some kind of way, how am I going to survive?
Yes.
And so the game started, and I hit a guy with my other shoulder. It was my right shoulder. Knocked him down. I said, hey, wait a minute.
Got one good one, yeah.
Maybe I'll play with this bad shoulder and not use the left shoulder at all. So I began to hit guys on one side.
Just
like that. And then guys would come at me, and I started to use tap dance around them.
Oh, the avoidance?
Yeah, avoid them,
the
tap
shoulder,
dance, avoid the contact, but then bounce right back into my lane and make the tackle. And of course, I would turn sideways to make the tackle with the other arm. So it really looked cat-like.
Yeah, we had to improvise a little bit, but it worked.
It did work. It worked. I didn't injure myself. And even on one particular play, I had two guys coming at me. I said, well, I can't tap dance around this. I did a 360, avoided both of them, came back on the other side and tackled the guy with
So
the
we
other
did a
shoulder.
360 around and then.
I did a 360 and they bounced right off of me. Or I bounced off of them.
Yeah.
And so I finished the game. I was very proud of myself. I finished the game. And I knew what was going to happen next. I was going to get that call and have to go up to the office because
Separate a shoulder.
And that's exactly what happened. He said, "Listen, Newt, we wanted to keep you. We were going to trade the other guy, but according to
The MVP guy?
yeah, he said we were going to trade him, but according to the Canadian rules, we have to let you go." Okay, so.
And you had been in the Canadian team for what, about like a year or so? Or
No, it
season?
was just for that training camp.
Oh, just for the training camp.
Yeah, just
Okay,
for
so
that training camp. It was about 6 weeks maybe.
Okay.
So I had beaten this guy out, but that's what happened. So I'm going back home on the plane, and I had given myself 3 teams, 3 seasons.
3 teams, 2 countries.
Right. 2 countries too.
Yep.
And so went home. I said, okay, well, I have my education. And the next day, I got a call. I got a call from Charlie Cassidy. He was the head scout for the Washington Redskins. And he said, I saw your game. You had a great game.
He saw the Canadian one.
Yes, he was there scouting.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. Okay, I remember some of this part of the story. Yeah. That's
Right.
when the
He
scout
said,
saw
you had a great game. And I'm holding the phone. I said, I did. I had a great game. He said, yeah, I love that 360 where you avoided both blockers. You did a 360, came on the other side, and then made the tackle. So I'm like, that's.
Yeah.
He said, well, is that one of your
Signature
things
moves?
that you moved?
Yeah.
Right, exactly. I said, no, it just came to mind. So he said, well, we want to fly you to Washington, and we're going to sign you up.
Oh, just like that.
Yeah, just like that.
Wow.
So I was saying to myself, okay, there was a reason why things happened the way that they happened. That got me back into that game.
Yeah.
And then I just figured out how I wanted to survive. I was really in a survival mode. I had no idea it looked like I knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I was possessing all kinds of skills and agility, footwork, but it was really out of survival.
And then that landed you on the Washington Redskins.
Yes. Yes.
So-
It gave me my opportunity.
Now you've joined with the Washington Redskins. After all that you had been through, did you have any doubt in your mind that maybe this isn't for me, maybe I'll get, hurt again, or I'll get dismissed, I'll get called in the office? Did you have
Well,
any
I was
doubt?
still hurt.
Yeah.
My separated shoulder, my shoulder was like lower. So I was walking around like this.
Yeah.
It hadn't healed. And we had training camp coming up with Washington 1 month later.
Did the scout know that the shoulder?
No. He asked me, Charlie Cassidy, he said, well, how did you come out in the game? How you feeling? I said, I'm feeling just fine.
Oh, Daddy.
He said, any injuries? No injuries. I'm good.
Yep.
Because I knew,
coach.
exactly. I knew I would have to go through physical exam. Everybody goes through a physical examination. And if you mention one thing that's hurt on your body, then they're going to really examine you in that area. And I knew I would not be able to pass any physical.
Well, you wanted your shoulder to get better, didn't you?
Well, they wouldn't sign me. They would release me once they found out. I'm damaged goods at this point.
You kind of were.
They don't want to take on that responsibility and liability by signing the guy that's hurt, putting him out there, and then now they have to pay the contract if I can't fulfill that obligation. So I came into, and it's like this. Yeah. So I came into camp. I straightened my shoulder out. It was very uncomfortable.
Lift it back up. Yeah.
So it would look even. And I somehow got through the examinations. I got through the examinations, and that part was great. I said, okay. got through that, and I still had this problem about contact. It was a month later, but I'm going into some serious contact, and so I kind of used the same strategy.
So 360 footwork, cat
The
moves.
footwork, yeah, the cat moves.
Click on your feet, light on your feet.
Exactly.
Dancing around them.
And they like that.
Yeah.
They like that, and the shoulders started to feel a little bit better. And I started using it a little bit more, and so I was okay.
All right.
I was okay. I was, again, game after game, cut after cut, I was still there.
Yeah.
I was still there, and had a very good chance of making the team. And so in the end, it was our last game before the regular season started. And we were doing
preseason game?
Last preseason game. And in practice, we kind of practice for each other. So the defense practices for the offense, and back and forth. We go against each other while we call plays and see how things were going. So John Riggins and I had a reputation of really laying the wood. Okay, so if you're in front of me, I'm going to hit you, and I'm going to hit you hard. And most of these guys were veterans, so they kind of like pop, push, pop. Not me. I was full go. I'm making this team. Yeah. This is my last shot, so I'm bringing dynamite all the time. And so I had that reputation, and then I was across John Riggins, and all preseason, we never had an opportunity to block each other, to hit each other. I covered them a few times, but never did we actually have contact. So he was fired up. I didn't know that. I thought he was going to be like the rest of the veterans, just kind of pushing.
Yeah.
He came in full blast, John Riggins style. He hit me and flipped me. And I'm laying on the ground, and now I can't get up, and my thigh is like, it's just getting bigger and bigger. And I said, here I go again.
Yeah, no. Another injury.
Right. Well, fortunately, I was so close to the regular season starting. They said, well, what are we going to do with him? You know, he's a good player. We want to keep him. We'll put him on the practice squad.
Okay, is that the same as kind of like the red shirt?
Yeah, but they called it IR. And so they put me on the IR. And
IR, that's injury reserve, right?
Yeah, injury reserve. And that's how I was able to be on the team, be part of the practices, get well. Now, they could have released me once my thigh was okay, but they said, no, we want to keep him. In case we have some injuries, we can just call him up. Practice with the team. It was such a great feeling of just finally being part of that.
Yeah.
That was really...
You finally made it. You were a part of a team, the Washington Redskins.
We're going through practices. We're watching film together. We're doing all the stuff that you do in a professional league, and that was just like really great. I finally made it. And so later on in the season, one of the players got hurt. One of the players got hurt, and they said, well, we're going to bring him up. We're going to bring him up. And the player that got hurt, he was a starter. His name was Monty Coleman. He was a starter. So it was very clear that once his injury, he had gotten well, that they were going to bring him back and then release me. Because I was just there to have somebody there to take his place while he was out. So did very well. They had me on special teams, had me on short yardage, and did very well. It's that opportunity. When you have that opportunity, no matter how short it is, and they're telling me, listen, you're only good for about 3 or 4 weeks. Okay, and we can't put you back on the injury reserve, so we're going to have to let you go. So I already knew what was in front of me, but that didn't stop me. So week after week, I was the special teams player of the week, of the game.
Okay. So they would keep putting you in.
Yeah, I was the special teams player of the game, and got all sorts of things that that player receives. So it came time for the linebacker to come back. And he came back. They said, well, who are we going to let go? And I can kind of hear the special teams coach, he was really advocating for me. He said, I want to keep Laurie. He said, well, what do we do? Well, I want to keep him. And I heard the offensive line coach say, you know what, we can cut such and such on the offensive line. We can let him go, and we'll just play with 6, and y'all can keep Laurie. And that's how I maintain myself on the team.
Okay. What are some other, tell me about some just like highlights when you were playing with the Redskins. Favorite memories, favorite games.
Well, favorite memories is always beating Dallas.
Beating Dallas, of course.
That was a favorite, particularly in the NFC Championship game. I mean, that game to us, and at least to me, was more important than the Super Bowl.
What?
Yes, that game was more important. That's how the rivalry was.
And you started off with Dallas.
I started off with Dallas, and I enjoyed playing against them and showing Tom Landry.
Look what you lost.
That's
Look
right.
what you lost. Look at me now. I'm still here.
How you like me now?
How you like me now? Back on the field. Yep.
Right, exactly.
Still here.
Exactly. So, and immediately too, as soon as Washington, I put on the helmet, I automatically start disliking Dallas.
That's like, yeah, the burgundy and gold. As soon as you put it on,
right? I don't know what came over me, but it's like I hate those guys.
Yeah.
So,
did you ever do trash talking? Did you trash talk on the field? Were you one of those?
I wasn't much of a trash talker, and there was a lot of trash talking.
You let your game speak for itself. You let the tackles speak for themselves.
Yeah. I let my tackles, my plays speak for itself. But it's a rough game out there, and it's a rough atmosphere. So
I mean, it's a rough game. Yeah, it's a rough game.
Yeah, but you got to stand tall and strong.
Talking about when you get to the NFL level, it's even rougher. It's even tougher.
Yeah, because you got grown men out there, and a lot of things are being said and done. And so you got to stand up for yourself. And so there's a lot of trash talking. There's a lot of things that are done as far as poking in the eyes and hitting
through the helmet.
Yeah, poking through eyes.
That's not allowed. That can't be allowed.
Well, it's one of the reasons why the guys wear shields
now. Okay, so then back then, yeah, that's what you.
Oh yeah, a lot of stuff, and
that's extreme. That's too much.
And just the cursing and all the things that are said. So you got to stand up for yourself and be ready.
So when they would trash talk like you and you would hear it, you just wouldn't really respond to it. You'd be like, all right, I'll just show you guys.
I didn't care about any of the talk, but as long as you didn't grab, punch, or pull, then I responded.
Yeah, okay.
So,
all right.
I got right back in your face. If you grab my helmet, you got yours grabbed too, and now we told like this.
I wish I could have seen this.
Yeah.
What was one of the worst teams to play against in terms of that? Like teams that were trash talk or be really nasty?
Okay. Your audience probably already knows what I'm going to say. The Los Angeles Raiders.
Really?
Yes.
Well, did they play not that I really know the divisions and stuff, but did they play the Redskins often?
We didn't play very often. At the time, they were the Oakland Raiders. And so they've moved around. I think they're the Vegas Raiders now. But at the time, they were the Oakland Raiders. And they had some characters on the team. And they did a lot of trash talking, more than trash talking. And committing fouls and all kinds of penalties was just allowed.
Yeah, they're just playing their way.
Yeah. So they were very good. You were expected to have at least one or two fights whenever you played them. Yeah, you were expected to do that. And so I had my experience with the Redskins playing against them, and they had some colorful characters.
Yeah,
too. Colorful characters. So there's a game within the game.
Yes,
when you play a team like that the fans in the audience don't see.
What about speaking of fans, playing the Eagles? I think you've said that their fans were really, really bad to you all. Were really rough when you guys would come play.
And the Eagles still have a reputation.
Yes,
That is a passionate fan base.
Passionate, yeah.
But the Philadelphia were the only team in our game plan. So when we're making a game plan, coaching-wise and strategy.
Oh, you guys had a separate plan just for the Eagles to handle them.
To take their crowd out of the game. That was our number one thing is we have to take their crowd. And so we have to get off to a fast start with them.
Okay, is that what you mean by taking the crowd out of the game?
That's right. Don't do anything that's going to get them overly excited. No fumbles. Don't get yourself intercepted. Anything like just take their fans, get a lead on them, and keep them calm. Because otherwise, their usual is they're going to throw stuff at you. They're going to yell things. And I learned my lesson coming off the field, and I kept seeing these objects going across the field.
Is this when the game was over, or like?
Well, it was halftime.
Halftime, okay.
And the objects were coming, and I realized those are batteries, and they were throwing batteries at us.
Like big batteries.
No, not the little AAAs.
Yeah.
They were D batteries. Not C, the big ones.
Yeah, some weight on them.
They were throwing batteries.
And they were just chucking them at you.
Chucking us.
Refs not doing anything. Coach is not telling them to cut it out. We just
Maybe they're used to it there.
Yeah, maybe.
And at the time, they were the only stadium that had a jail inside.
There's a jail?
There was a jail inside Veterans Stadium for their fans.
Gosh.
And it was the only jail in the entire league inside the stadium.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, they all have them now.
I mean, throwing batteries at players, that's assault, you know? They did need a jail.
Exactly. This is the only fan base that they would take a $15, $20 beer in the wintertime, use that beer to create ice ball. Because they just didn't throw snowballs. They had to create ice balls. So they would use them. We're back there watching them. We're seeing them doing, pouring the beer, making the, getting the snow and making ice balls and then throwing it at them. So that was a fan base that there was really something. The field didn't help either because it was old carpet, like AstroTurf, that had lines and everything in it. The carpet at my home was better than that.
Did you?
So we had all kinds of burns and stuff. We had to learn how to play on that carpet. But that was a rough place, and they're fans in a category by themselves.
So I want to ask you kind of like a fun question, like this or that. What was worse? Playing in like torrential downpour, like a thunderstorm, like super, super wet, lots of rain, or playing in like the snow, like a blizzard is starting? Because you had to play in all types of environments. So if you had to choose of the two, which one would you choose?
Well, the blizzard, I wouldn't mind playing in the blizzard. It's the cold.
Yeah.
The coldest game I was in Buffalo. And Buffalo, they probably have had a lot of players that probably had that same experience, but it was just so cold that your fingers, your feet.
How can you even, like grip the ball as well if their fingers are frozen?
If you made a tackle, you hit somebody or got hit, it just magnified the hit. And so it was just a really hurtful, painful
place to play.
to play when it was cold. And we're talking about like 0-degree weather, that type of thing. They don't, cancel or delay games because of coldness. You're going to get out there and you're going to...
Somebody could get frostbite. They should. Once it gets to a certain level.
What can I say? We're supposed to be out there moving around and keeping the blood going. And back then they didn't have the type of big giant gloves. And guys, especially from their team, they didn't wear anything. They didn't wear anything underneath. These guys came out.
That's crazy.
I guess they were used to it, or it was maybe an intimidation factor. It didn't stop me. I had all.
Yeah, I would be layered up too. Absolutely.
These guys played in it. Maybe they were used to it. So that was very, very uncomfortable. I couldn't wait till that game was over. So there's definitely a home field advantage. And now, as far as the rain is concerned, we played a game in Tampa. And Tampa just had a monsoon type of rain.
I used to live around there, yeah.
And typically the NFL, if you have lightning, they'll just delay the game. But there was no lightning. It was just raining and raining. So when you hit the ground, you slid about 15 yards further.
And you guys are going so fast too, yeah.
The puddle, it rained so fast, and in Tampa, that the field couldn't drain itself. So we were in like a puddle of water playing.
Yeah, like ankle, yeah.
Exactly.
Just sludging through.
Yeah. So.
Well, let's talk about another fun moment, which was the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Leading up to the Super Bowl, do you even remember that game, like that team that you played to qualify, to get into the Super Bowl? Do you remember that?
That was Dallas.
It was Dallas? So you guys beat Dallas and then played, I think, the Rams, right? In the Super Bowl? Who did you play in the Super Bowl?
Oh, we played Miami in the Super Bowl.
Oh, it was Miami.
Yeah,
okay,
it was Miami.
But you beat Dallas.
We beat Dallas, and
what was that game like? What was that feeling like, beating Dallas and making it to the Super Bowl?
It's just unbelievable. It was just so exciting just to beat these guys, because they normally would win our games. We play, they would normally win, but we were 12-1 that season, and the only team that beat us was Dallas earlier in the year.
Okay.
So not only was it a revenge game, but it was I'm gonna show you that we can beat you too.
Yeah.
Okay, because they came in very arrogant, and so that was our game. We put in all our emotion and energy, and that was the game. And I remember running down on the sideline on the special teams kickoff, and the player caught the ball, and it was on the sideline, and Coach Landry was just a few feet away, and I hit this guy. I hit him so hard. It seemed like the whole stadium they got quiet. He went like that. They were cheering him when I hit him. It's like, woo. And so after I hit this guy, and I just looked over at Landry. Mm-hmm. You know me.
Yeah.
Laurie, right?
Yeah, I'm Laurie. Yep.
Okay. So we were all so pumped up in the game. And then on that particular hit, we were watching the films. And the special teams coach, he just kept playing this hit over. He played it at least 10 times. I don't know if you ever heard of, it's this game called Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
No.
Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Well, it's an old-star game with boxing, but if you uppercut the boxer, if you uppercut him, his head would just extend out.
Okay,
Right, and he kept on playing the Rock'em Sock'em Robots, boom, and the guy's head was going back like that every time I hit him. So, I mean, we were so fired up for that game that the Super Bowl was anticlimactic.
What?
Yes, and I
so
wasn't.
So that game against Dallas, that felt like kind of like that big win, like that Super Bowl kind of victory kind of like feeling versus actually winning against Miami.
I had nothing left emotionally. Yes. Okay, I had to get myself back charged up for Miami and be mentally prepared for the Super Bowl. That's how draining it was and how invested
that Dallas
it was.
Game.
And I talked to some of my teammates. They felt the same way. That was their Super Bowl. It was our Super Bowl, but in name only.
Yeah.
And that's how we felt. And we played like that together. And Dallas didn't go down easy. It wasn't a game we dominated. We pulled that game out and then took control of it.
Now that you're telling me this story, I actually want to see the game. I don't know if there's archives somewhere, but I want to see this game that you played against Dallas, especially the rivalry and everything, and just having that feel like your own Super Bowl.
And the fans, they were into it as well.
Yeah.
The stadium was rocking. Okay.
Were you guys at RFK?
We were at RFK, and of course, RFK moves like an earthquake.
Yeah.
So the crowd was into it. It was shaking.
Yep.
The ground was shaking.
That sounds like such a good game.
And we're getting all excited, and the Cowboys are looking around, that type of thing. And it was just the atmosphere, unbelievable.
Wow. Well, the Super Bowl was still, a big moment, a huge victory and everything. What was that moment like?
Well, the Super Bowl, that's the completion. That was the completion of how I felt and some other players. We got to complete this.
Yes.
We had our game. Now we have to complete it. Otherwise, who knows the team that lost in the Super Bowl? Nobody. You start naming year after year. Who else was in the Super Bowl that didn't win? There's no notoriety.
No.
So you have to, it's a winner's take all. You have to separate yourself. And so you have to complete. And so that's what our mindset was. We have to complete this now. Okay. We had the game of our lives the game before.
Now you're just finishing it. Now it's coming all full circle. We're walking away with the championship, the rings, the title.
Exactly. And we weren't favorite. Be honest with you.
You guys weren't like kind of like the top pick to win?
No. We were underdog, and we're playing against Don Shula, Hall of Fame coach. They had a nickname for their players, the Killer Bees on defense. Okay. So they had their own notoriety. They were favored to win the game. And the game didn't start off all that well, but it doesn't matter. We're going to always be there, and we're going to do what we need to do. And they even had, on special teams, a 100-yard touchdown. And so a lot of times when you score touchdowns on special teams, it's deflating, but not with us. You know, we said to ourselves, we're going to get that back. We're going to get that back. And from that point on, just on special teams, they had nothing. They didn't gain anything.
So did you have a sense of confidence that you all would win the Super Bowl? After coming back from beating Dallas, I mean, I feel like I kind of would. I would be like, look, we beat Dallas. We're taking this whole thing home. Did you feel that confidence, or did you feel like it could go any way, you know?
I don't think we were at that level. I think when you're in your, I'm gonna call it a beast mode. When you're in that beast mode and you're fighting and you're doing everything that you got to do, and you have a good game plan, you're seeing the game plan exercise itself, and you're able to execute it. It does give you a certain amount of confidence. But you don't really know until you do it.
Till you get there.
And so as you're doing it, then you start to gain that confidence and say, we're going to get these guys. There's enough time on the clock. We're going to get it.
Was it a close game?
Well, the score turned out to be 27-17. But it was a close game.
It was close.
Yeah, it was
Most
closer.
of it was
closer than what the score was. And definitely dramatic plays included, particularly the touchdown that gave us the lead by John Riggins. And that was on the fourth down.
Oh.
So had we not made the fourth down and the touchdown, who knows how the game would have went. The game was on the line right there. So it went down to the wire, so to speak.
And after you won, what was the reception like when you came back home to D.C.?
Fantastic. We had a huge parade and 100,000 people. I mean, it was so many people, you couldn't even see the buildings. It was really something. The weather didn't cooperate. It rained.
Oh,
yeah,
it rained?
It rained. We were in a constant drizzle. But I don't think that dampened the spirits of anybody. He got an opportunity to meet the president back then.
Oh, you met the president?
Yeah. And so it was just great to see all that energy and the happiness and all of it.
Did you feel like a celebrity?
Well, I never did feel like a celebrity. Well, actually, I felt like a celebrity when the Dallas Cowboys drafted.
When they drafted you?
Yeah,
that's when you were.
Those guys, I mean, they were full of celebrity type players.
Yeah.
And when they say it's America team, that's a show. It's a show. Okay, in terms of like a circus. Okay, and that atmosphere, I really didn't even enjoy that type of atmosphere because I couldn't. I couldn't believe it. I said, well, what am I on, a football team or am I on the entertainment?
Yeah.
This type of thing with fans and groupies and all that kind of stuff and Hollywood people.
You had groupies?
Yeah, there were all kinds of folks. Oh, me? No.
No,
I'm
no,
saying team-wise.
I think you did. I think there was a few.
So I'm more of a, structured type of, so that atmosphere was really very professional with the Redskins. You had some excellent teammates who were very professional and showed the leadership that that was needed, and that really kind of transcend itself onto the younger players like myself.
I'm surprised you said you didn't feel like a celebrity after you won the Super Bowl, though. I would be showing off. Nobody would be able to tell me nothing. I would be wearing my ring all the time. I'd be wearing my jersey all the time.
Yeah, we did a little bit of that.
Yeah, okay, you did. You started feeling it. I know you did. I know you started feeling it.
I didn't want to disappoint the fans.
Yes. Okay, well let's talk a little bit present day football.
Okay.
The Commanders, they had a really good season this last season. What are your predictions for what's coming up for them next?
I think good things are coming up for them.
I do too.
Okay. I think they benefited from having a last place schedule. They benefited from that.
What's the last place schedule?
Well, when a team doesn't finish high, they finish very low, they try to balance this out for the next season, and so they schedule more teams on their level. Okay.
So we had a low?
The year before.
Oh, yeah, the year before. And that's what set us up good for this. Yes.
This year, because we were in the playoffs, we have a higher level of a schedule where we're playing the better teams
starting
even more.
Off this new
That's
season.
right.
Okay.
So that's what balances it off. So what happens is when you benefit from having a weaker schedule and you do very well, some teams, they falter the following year, except for the teams that really build themselves up and prepare. And I felt like the Commanders have really done a good job in improving themselves. They've improved themselves on the offensive line. You have the quarterback that's checked off. Their draft choices, they have really prepared themselves for this coming season and a harder schedule. So I think there's good things to come. The coaching staff, they're excellent. I like their coaching. There's just a positiveness, and they know what they're doing. So they're on this level now. I think that they can maintain themselves and only get better.
Do you think they can make it to the Super Bowl?
Yes, anytime that you are a playoff team, not only do you have that opportunity, and they did very well last year, but they can be a Super Bowl team.
And when you were with the Redskins, you were with them for, I think, about 2 years, right?
Right.
And your first year, or 3 years, your first year with them, did you think that you all would make it to the Super Bowl, or that you were like a Super Bowl worthy team? No. It wasn't until the season started.
The following year, I believe our record was 6-10, and so they fired that coach and hired a new coach, Joe Gibbs. So I came in under Joe Gibbs,
and he had the sauce. He had the special sauce.
Well, he didn't start off with the special sauce because we lost the first 5 games.
Oh no!
And we were 0-5. Okay, and
this was what, in '82, the year before the Super Bowl.
This is 82, right? Okay. The year before. And so we started off that way, and the papers, and it was just really kind of harsh. It really was.
Y'all sucked.
Yeah, we had a good team, but I think we didn't have the proper formula.
Yeah, still finding your footing and everything.
Yeah, and so when I went to the supermarket, before it was, hey, and then you go to the supermarket and you're 0-5. Now the fans are saying, well, when y'all going to win a game?
Yeah, now they got some questions for you.
Yeah. So it's a whole different feeling. But we didn't really we didn't know what to think. Everything was new. Coaching was new.
Yeah.
Players were new. So we didn't know what to think. All we knew was they won 6 games the year before. And that's why we have these changes. And so we started off slow, and then it picked itself up, and we wound up winning 8 out of the last 11 games. So
With Joe Gibbs.
With Joe Gibbs.
Yep.
And so when you have that type of momentum, and in sports, particularly football, when you have momentum, that momentum can carry over to the following year. You keep your nucleus of players and your coaches and just that same energy. You can get momentum from the season before.
I think that's what's happening with the Commanders. Or that's my hope, is that they're carrying the momentum from last season into this new one, and then we're going to go to the Super Bowl.
I have that same type of feeling that they definitely are carrying that momentum.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the additions to the team and what they've done, then you can see that they're not just sitting back and being thankful they had a good season. They're preparing themselves for this upcoming season and that harder schedule, and then maintaining themselves just in terms of being one of the better teams in the league. Because teams can go up and down. They do it all the time. Up and down, up and down.
Yeah, we were down. Now we're up.
Yeah.
We were down for a while. That's why I wasn't really watching, because
Exactly.
what was there to watch? And now that we're winning and doing well, I actually want to go to more games. Like, this past season was so exciting and fun to watch, and I feel like I started like just getting more into it because like the team was good enough for me to root for in a long time. So now I'm actually looking forward to this new season and watching some more games, maybe going to some games. You have on your Legends shirt. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Okay. Well, another good thing that we're doing now is we've really started a togetherness with the alumni players.
Yes, that's what the Washington Legends, that's an alumni association, right?
Exactly. And so before you had some players, it wasn't togetherness. And some people want to say, well, it's the owner. And there were some things that were going on. But now there's a positiveness, there's a togetherness. And this is one of the ways that we formed that with players now, alumni players from the past, having opportunities to really come together, have a voice, just in terms of being there and setting examples. It's a really good thing. And so someone came up with the name, the Legends. And rightly so, you have 3 Super Bowls. And the Legends include all players.
All players,
yes.
all retired players.
All players who are alumni. So that's what the Legends is about, and it's something to be proud of, and I certainly am being part of it.
Yeah, I've noticed over the past few years you've been more involved with the activities and the events that they have with the Legends, and you even got to go down on the field one time, I think during a game, and they did some kind of like acknowledgement thing. Do you remember that?
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
that was fun.
That was an event where they acknowledged all the past Super Bowl teams.
Yeah.
And so we all got together. We were on the field.
Do you feel like a celebrity again? You have to. I mean, you're in this stadium and there's all these people and there's like the lights and the crowd and everything.
Yeah, it brings back memories. It certainly does.
Yeah, you play it cool, but
yeah, it brings back memories, and it feels good.
Do you ever see any of your old teammates at these Legends events, or do you guys?
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
Absolutely. On the events, I mean, everybody's kind of spread out now, especially from my era, kind of spread out. We have a few folks that live here in town, but I really look forward to just kind of being with the old group and talking over the past and seeing what's going on now.
Yeah. And kind of just like reflecting back on your entire just like journey with football and then your career in the NFL, one of the common themes that I was hearing is just the pushing through when you're faced with adversity and seeing even rejections as misdirections and other opportunities. Is that the way that you would kind of maybe summarize maybe it's like some lessons that you've learned?
Well, it certainly does come into play just in life in general. And my particular path was not an easy path. Okay, I had a difficult path, but at the same time, that gave me the endurance, it gave me the fortitude to be able to, continue to succeed. And so, I've always kind of draw back to that, just in life in general, because you have your ups and downs, and even with the coaching. When I coached the girls' basketball team, I tried to instill that in them, and so that they can achieve more than what they thought they could achieve. And we did that. We were a pretty good, decent team, and we beat some teams probably we shouldn't have, but the kids believed in themselves.
Yeah.
They believed in themselves. So, and you apply that to just everyday life, and you can, usually succeed, and the outcomes are going to be better. So I think I always draw my sports, some of the sports.
Do you have any advice specifically for young people that might be chasing their dreams of playing in the NFL?
Well, stay focused. You stay focused, do the things that you need to do, just in terms of your school, your education. Make sure that you increase whatever opportunities that you can have, because once you get these opportunities, then that's your opportunity to make the most of it, no matter how big, small, no matter what it was. You just make your opportunities and you seize the moment. Just like when I went to Canada, and I knew the odds were against me.
Yeah.
But somehow I had to get the attention of the coaches, and I used a 12-mile run.
Yeah. Anything that you can.
To
Absolutely.
get that attention.
Yeah.
To get people's attention. So that's what I would say. And don't do anything that's going to make it harder for yourself.
Would that include playing and trying out on a separated shoulder or multiple injuries? Would that include that?
Well, that was the determination. I didn't say it was smart.
Okay.
I didn't say it was smart.
Maybe don't take that approach. Yeah,
right,
maybe not that way.
Maybe not. But don't do anything that's going to harm yourself, just in terms of eliminating your opportunities. Be smart out there and stay focused.
Yeah. I feel like we talked about a lot. Did I cover
that was
everything?
Good. Yeah. I mean,
we didn't talk about Uncle Orlando so much, but I'm actually hoping to have him on my next podcast.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah, he played for the Indiana Colts for how long?
He played with the Colts for 4 years, and then
years?
he finished off his season with New England.
Yeah.
New
yeah.
England Patriots.
Did you all have any overlap, like playing in the NFL at the same time?
No.
No?
Just like in school.
Growing up, yeah. One's finished and another one.
I'm out, he's in. That sort of thing.
Well, did you all go to each other's games? Did he come to your games? Did you go to
I
any
went
of
to a couple of his games.
Yeah.
Actually, your Uncle Orlando, he followed me to Washington Redskins, because when he came out, when he graduated and became a free agent, that was one of the teams he tried out for. And the coach called me. He said, "Hey, listen, I want to talk to you about your brother. What do you think? You think he'd make a good choice for us?" I said he would make an excellent choice.
Okay, I definitely have to sit down with Uncle Orlando.
And I tell you what, I'll work with him too.
Yeah.
I'll work with him. I know the plays. And he'll come in very prepared. And that's exactly what we did. I was living down in Tampa at the time. Okay, and so he came down and we practiced and went over plays. So he was very much prepared for the Washington Redskins camp.
Did you all ever have competitiveness between each other in a way that negatively affected your relationship?
No, I think, we had years apart. And that years apart really makes a difference when it comes to the sibling rivalry. When you have maybe 1 or 2 years apart, then you have that competition type of thing. But we were enough years apart, and your Uncle Martin as well, where we looked up to each other. And so that the person that you looked up to, that was like a mentor. Just like Uncle Martin, he mentored me with playing sports and then having me come along with his friends.
Did you do the same with Uncle Orlando?
No, we had separate. I believe we had separate friends, but
You didn't like
we
his
did a
friends?
lot.
You didn't like his friends?
Didn't know his friends. But we did more individual things together because we played the same sport. So, we kind of trained together.
Yeah.
We ran the same hills as far as conditioning. We did those type of things where I would pass on some things. He'd pass on some things with me too as well. And so we mentored each other as far as that's concerned. It wasn't any competition or anything like that. We all just kind of benefited from each other.
Has he ever told you that you were someone that he looked up to or mentored him when it comes to football?
Oh yeah, we've had those conversations.
Yeah.
And it's good to know that I was an inspiration.
Did you realize that at the time, though, like growing up? Did you kind of recognize that was somewhat of the role that you were?
It's something that you don't really talk about, but you know.
But you know.
You know, but
yeah.
you don't really talk about. So
Yeah.
you lead by example.
Mm-hmm.
You lead by example, and then in his particular case, he started paving his own way.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when you know, as opposed to, oh yeah, that's Quentin's brother. Now that's Orlando.
Yeah, that's Orlando.
Right.
Yeah, his own person.
Exactly. So that's how that works.
Okay. Did I cover everything? Did I leave anything out?
That was pretty good. I'm telling you, I
Yes.
really enjoyed this session talking to you. I mean, we've never talked like this before because all this happened before you were even born.
Yeah, and it was always so kind of like embarrassing to me sometimes when I would tell people. I never really tell people a whole lot about you because then they have questions and I can't answer them. I'm like, I don't even know. I'm like, what year was the Super Bowl? I was like, it was before I was born, just in the 80s.
Exactly.
Really
And we're involved in the typical dad and daughter and family things growing up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this was very enjoyable.
You know what? I think we should sit down and do this again when the season starts. And we can talk some football. You've been teaching me lately. You've been teaching me the last
Yeah, I
season that we
noticed you
had.
kind of picked up the terms.
I'm picking
there.
it up. Yep, I'm picking it up, and I'm understanding more. So, yeah.
Yeah, I would look forward to that.
Sounds good.
Well, thank you so much for staying tuned for my very first podcast with my very special guest. Stay tuned for episode 2.